Gentlemen, introduce yourself.
My name is Adam Francis. I am Skylar Blake Francis's father.
I'm Dr. Michael John Francis. I am Skylar's uncle.
Okay. The uncle, the doctor, you were there the night of the incident, right?
I was.
What happened?
A male and a female approached the fence. It was in the backyard. They asked.
You didn't see who they were. You just heard
They
them.
were on the other side of a 6'7" fence.
So you heard them ear approach. You didn't see.
Yeah, that's all I heard.
Okay.
That's all I heard was, I need to see the male. I need to see the female. They were
Okay.
each asking for their counterparts.
Did they identify themselves as deputies?
Not at all.
Okay. Go on.
So I thought, well, the parental parents are here. Let's get this taken care of. There's no violence. It was just a vocal.
The parental parents of who?
Oh, they weren't the parent. I'm just thinking more parenty parents are here.
Okay.
Okay. Here they are. They're going to bring resolve to the situation. They're going to resolve. They're going to protect and serve.
Okay.
Whoever they are. I figured it's going to resolve the argument. So they're not arguing. There's no violence or any problems with it. It's just an argument.
Okay.
So I called them forward, and they interacted with this male and female, who again never identified themselves. And they said, we need to see you. They got up on the fence and they saw each other, and they came to a situation. They said, well, we need to get there. They said, well, we can meet you around the front of the house. Well, apparently the male was
Male deputy?
male deputy, if he was. I don't know. I mean, now I guess it's more apparent. But he decided that he was in too much of a hurry to go around the front of the house. So he reaches up. He says, if you don't let me in here right now, I'm going to tear down this fence. It's an old wooden fence.
And he did just that.
And he played Hulk, and he tore it down. And
Okay.
he come barging in.
And you were eyewitnessing all this.
I did not see him enter the property.
Okay.
I figured this was all resolved.
Okay.
Okay, it's we're going to meet around the front. It's going to come to a resolution. No problems. I turned around and I was going to head towards the house.
When's the first time you realized there was another problem?
As soon as I turned around, I heard a noise. And I was like, turn around. He had torn down the fence. He was bleeding from the top of the head. He was kind of fumbling and walking around. And I see the woman over on the side. She come in the fence and fell down. Never got back up. She fell down. That was it.
What was Skylar doing?
Skylar was over on one side. I saw him. I jumped in and I said, stop. He stopped. Woman was still on the ground. He never touched her, never got to her.
Well, you don't know that. You didn't see it.
I turned around for a couple of seconds and he tore down the fence. When I turned around,
So
she was on the
there wasn't enough time for him to move from where he
ground.
was.
Seconds.
Okay.
8 seconds at the most.
Okay.
He apparently hit the gentleman on top of the head. There's no way. It was physically impossible for him to get from over here to this woman. I stepped in the way. He was coming back around because I didn't know he had this look in his eyes, like I didn't know what he was doing.
There's some report that Skylar had like a baton. Did he?
I never saw it because apparently he hit and it fell to the ground. I saw it afterwards and I was wondering what it was, and I made a mention of something being on the ground that I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
But apparently it was one strike and out of his hand and on the ground.
You did listen to the argument that preceded all this. Skylar and his girlfriend having an argument. Did you think it was serious enough for the cops to be called?
No, otherwise I'd have gone back there and intervened myself. I'm not a person that's going to allow any violence to happen.
Okay.
Just not.
Father,
Yes, sir.
you attended today's hearing. Today being December 20th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
You've seen Judge Bulow withheld her decision.
Yes, sir.
You heard the arguments that the state's attorney made. Okay. You were there for the trial.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First question: do you feel like your son got a fair trial?
Absolutely not.
Why
My
is
son
that?
has not had a fair shake from the beginning of the situation from the time the police arrived on the property. I had hoped that the judge would be understanding and fair. And
Now, which judge you're talking about?
I'm referring to Judge Lemonitis.
Okay. let's focus not on the day of the incident because you were not there, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's focus on the trial with Judge Lemonitis presiding. Why do you feel as though your son didn't get a fair trial?
Had I not been in the trial, I wouldn't have believed the things that I had seen. Her disposition from the very beginning has been biased. The way that she's handled his situation from the very beginning. It's clear that she has been on the side of the police, and that she is basically part of a cover-up to cover up what the police did that was wrong.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Have you read the judicial qualifications findings on her in reference to your case?
I have, in fact, and she has been reprimanded specifically for my son's case.
Well, before we go there, do you agree with them? Do you agree with that finding that she committed all those alleged acts of judicial misconduct in your son's
and
case?
much more. I think they've been very lenient on her.
Okay.
I don't believe she's fit to be a judge.
Okay, fair enough. Now, today's hearing, okay, do you feel as though her misconduct should have been discussed in today's hearing as a reason why your son should get a new trial and a bond?
Absolutely, it's a major factor. She scared all the witnesses that were involved on our side. She just
So you're alleging her intemperate behavior, I think, as the JQC report said, in your opinion, intimidated witnesses?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Now today, the state's attorney, in today's hearing, the state's attorney seems to have alleged that JQC complaint is something on a different plane, shouldn't have any bearing on whether your son got a fair trial or not. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. Her actions in there, without a doubt, tainted the jury, and I believe that what her actions 100% dictated the outcome of this trial by the way that she handled everyone involved in it on the defendant's side.
Let me ask you this. Let's assume you're correct and your son didn't get a fair trial in Judge Lemonitis' courtroom. Do you think her sentence of him, because I guess he was facing a 5-year minimum, and based on I guess he's got a lack of very minimal past criminal history?
He's a good kid,
okay.
Really.
So it's my understanding he got, what, 15 years in prison, basically?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel as someone that's subjected to a 5-year minimum with your son's minimal arrest history should have got 15 years?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These officers came into this property without due cause, and basically I believe that the actions from that day forward have been a cover-up by the police department to cover up their actions and their misconduct and their misdeeds.
Okay. Did in fact your attorney, not your attorneys today in this hearing, but your original trial attorney, didn't he have to file a motion with the court alleging that Judge Lemonitis committed judicial misconduct?
Absolutely did. Absolutely did. And he even mentioned it a number of times in the courtroom that she was tying his hands deliberately and stopping him from being able to give effective counsel. I'm assuming you reviewed his motion alleging that she committed judicial misconduct, right? Yes, sir.
Do you agree with it?
I agree with it 100%. And again, I have to say that I think that it's far too lenient. I think that a number of things that she did in that courtroom were absolutely inappropriate, if not almost criminal. And I can't believe that she's even allowed to continue to be a judge after this.
Another question. Based on today's hearing, do you have an opinion of whether do you believe the system is trying to protect Judge Lemonitis?
Absolutely. They're trying to protect Judge Lemonitis as well as their two officers that absolutely did not follow the standards of a police officer. They came there that morning and they absolutely 100% escalated that situation. And as a result, I believe that Brevard County Sheriff's Department and this court has deliberately done everything in their power to shove this story and this situation underneath the rug by putting my son in jail for 15 years.
Would it be a fair statement to make? How old is your son, 26?
He is 26.
Would it be a fair statement to make that the criminal justice system here in Brevard is more, if they had to put two things on a scale, the life of a 26-year-old young man, the future of a 26-year young man with very limited criminal history that has a very good employment, as you testified to today, is less important than covering up the misdeeds of criminal justice practitioners within this state?
Oh, I believe most definitely that their position is that he's far less important.
He's expendable.
That he's expendable, so they can look as if they're doing the proper thing. Those officers did not protect and serve that day. They came and escalated the situation, and as a result, they're covering up their misdeeds and their misconduct by putting my son in jail for 15 years.
I want to give Skyler a chance to be known by the public. He's 26 years old.
Yes, sir.
We know he works at a jewelry store. Sounds like a pretty good skill.
He's also has been a beekeeper, and he was a beekeeper since he was mid-teens, something along those lines. He's a very loving, natural kid that wants to help the planet.
He's a father.
And he's a father. He's got a 1-year-old baby now.
And what's the baby's name?
The baby is Sabrina.
And he intends to marry the mother.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Did you want him home for Christmas?
He should be at home with his child. These officers, the one officer that they said was dead, drove herself.
Wait a minute, stop there. What do you mean by they said one officer they said was dead?
The original report said that the 2 officers were killed when the officers involved were not killed. And the officers, almost half of Brevard County sheriffs on scene, knew that those officers were not killed.
Well, why do you think they said he was dead?
Oh, I think they did it deliberately to trump up the charges on him and to make sure that he probably got beat up in jail.
So you're saying that someone comes in the back of the jail and the officers read the report that they got 2 dead deputies, and being that the deputies run the jail, that they may have put your son's life in danger?
Absolutely. He was handcuffed naked against a wall with another officer from Sharps that told him, if I was there, I would have killed you. You'd be dead right now. I would have killed you. They should have killed you.
Let me do a quick synopsis here. According to his uncle, they escalated the thing beyond belief. The sheriff deputies, responding sheriff
Absolutely.
deputies. Now you're alleging, and we'll confirm it, that the original police report said that at least one, if not both of the officers were dead.
Yes.
So when he hit the jail, he was basically guilty of murder.
Absolutely.
Of 2 law enforcement officers. Now you're telling me, this publication, that when he went to court, on Judge Limonitis' courtroom, it was basically a kangaroo court.
Oh, 100%.
And we don't have to believe you, do we, sir?
No, not at all.
The JQC says she committed judicial misconduct.
She herself even has admitted that she had anger issues and that she was acted improperly.
And it affected that trial.
Absolutely. Her own words.
Her own words. Well, surely is the Florida Supreme Court prepared to give her any sort of reprimand?
They are supposed to give her a reprimand on the 5th of February.
Are you going to be there?
Absolutely, 100%. And I hope I get the opportunity to speak, because I really don't think that this woman should be a judge anymore. And the fact that she is using her position to cover up for the police misconduct is absolutely criminal.
So you're not a disgruntled. No one can say, oh, he's a disgruntled father whose son committed a crime and now he's trying to do anything to get his son out of a crime. You got the documentations to point it up.
Absolutely.
You got a documentation that they originally said your son killed 1 or 2 deputies.
Yes, sir.
That wasn't true.
No.
You got the documentation to say that Judge Limonitis committed judicial misconduct in his courtroom.
Absolutely.
By an attorney that filed it, by a Judicial Qualifications Commission that confirmed it, and by a Florida Supreme Court that's going to take disciplinary action on her son, on your son. I mean, on the judge.
On the judge.
Okay. So we don't have to believe you.
Absolutely not. I'm sure that a lot of people would think that I'm just out here to protect my son. And honestly, had I not been in the courtroom and seen what had gone on, I probably wouldn't believe a lot of it myself. It's absolutely destroyed my faith in justice. My son, I told him that the truth
How old
would
are
come
you,
out.
sir?
I'm 47 years old.
You've always had faith in the criminal justice system?
I have actually, and I'm pro police officer. I believe that we actually have to have police officers. I know that their job is a difficult job, but I also know that they can make mistakes. And the problem I'm having with this whole situation is that they are not being held accountable or owning up to the mistakes that they've made. And by covering up their actions, again, they've jacked up the jail and put my son underneath there. They've made everything in this process absolutely the hardest that they possibly could for our family. It's devastated us financially, mentally. I don't even like to be in this town anymore because of what is going on here.
One last question I'm gonna ask you. I got a scale here. I got my two hands out. Let's say your son has some culpability into that thing. Not saying he does, but let's say.
Understood.
If you were to weigh his culpability on one side of the scale and put what the system has done to your son, said he killed 2 deputies, not give him a fair trial, the judge even admits that she was intemperate. The officials have agreed that she committed judicial misconduct. And the hearing that happened today where they don't even want that introduced as a reason why your son should get a new trial. Where's the bigger crime?
Oh, it's absolutely with the police department. There's no doubt. It's with the police department, with the Justice Department. Here
Uncle,
in this
would you
county.
agree?
Incompetence. Biased. Incompetence.
Is it more just CYA?
I think
For
it's
them.
I think it's a
For them,
couple.
yeah.
Yes.
They're just
Especially for her to say that she actually defended her partner. She fell down and never got up and then lied about it.
The female officer is not fit to do her duties.
She doesn't even deserve to walk
if
the
it had
street.
happened the way that she puts it out there, then she should have shot him. There's no doubt about it. If she was witnessing her partner being bludgeoned over and over again, as she has testified, then she should have shot my son. There's no doubt about that. She froze in her actions. She tripped going into the property. She froze in her actions and was not able to execute her duties.
Now
as
you
she
weren't
should be.
there. How do
was
you
not.
know she tripped over going into the property? Is that something Skylar's told you?
That is actually what I've heard from Skylar. That's what I've heard from Courtney. Both of them have discussed with me that she came in that gate and tripped over those things and rolled down and hurt herself. That's how her head got hurt. She's knowingly lying to the public and to the courts.
You're not going away, are you?
I'm not going away, absolutely not. Especially in this situation where, from the very beginning of this situation, they didn't de-escalate this situation. They've gone in there, they made mistakes. They didn't follow the protocol that they should have
Filed false
done.
report?
What's that?
Filed a false report?
Filed false reports.
Two dead deputies?
Lied in court. I think it has to do with a cover-up, and one thing that I'd like to add to this situation
Sure.
is that a year prior to my son's court date, the judge Lemonitis and the 2 officers involved in this were all at the same banquet, and again, a year prior to my son's court date, they gave these 2 officers awards based on his guilt, with that judge being in the audience.
And this banquet, is that the banquet that the Sheriff Department sponsors?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Were you there?
I was not there. I did not
How'd
know
you become
was
aware of
going on.
that?
I actually did some research and found out that that's what was going on.
Your father ain't gonna go away, are you?
I am not going to go away. My son does not deserve what was brought on him that day. And I understand that everybody makes mistakes, but everyone has to be accountable for the mistakes that they make.
And a 26-year-old son's life shouldn't be
absolutely
sacrificed.
22 at the time, and actually a young 22 as well. He's not out robbing a bank. He's not out knocking over a liquor store. He's in his own backyard having a verbal argument with his girlfriend at the time.
Like all 22-year-olds do.
Like all of them do.
Anything else, Dad?
No, I just like the public to know that you know, when you're dealing with a situation like this, make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's, because justice is not what it is perceived to be here. And also, justice is truthfully, just as the old adage goes, is that the justice you get is the justice that you can afford.
One final question, Daddy. I didn't have it till you just made that statement. We get the feeling you're not doing this just for Adam, you, and Skylar, your son. I think you want this not to happen to other Adams.
Absolutely.
And Skylars.
Absolutely. You know, I think this is much larger than my son in this situation. This has to do with police acting appropriately and doing what they are supposed to do. They're supposed to be there to protect us and to serve us. To come into situations like this and de-escalate a situation, that is not what happened that morning. They are supposedly trained, the female officer is supposedly trained deliberately in this type of a thing. And these two officers didn't communicate with each other. They didn't follow their protocol. And again, as a result, they're in jail. Well, that's fine for this situation, but I don't want this to happen to anyone else.
But Dad, the insult to injury, that's not where it stopped, did it?
No, not at all.
It was a trial too.
Right on down the line.
It was the false documentation. And it was the false testimony.
The judge had her mind made up long before we ever went into trial. In the pre-trial hearings, she was biased against him once again. She set an outrageous bond that she knew that we weren't going to be able to afford. Nonetheless, we were able to do that. And in that, she set a criteria for him, someone with basically no previous record. She set him up to fail. She did everything that she could.
Do you see a different temperament in Judge Vallow today than you did in Judge Lemonitis?
I do. The courtroom itself, the energy in the courtroom is not near as excited or overwhelming.
Do you have hope Judge Vallow will give you justice?
I have the same hope in her as I did in Lemonitis, that she is going to see the truth for what it is and not be biased towards the people that she works with every single day, and give my son a fair trial.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.